Hello, ladies and gentlemen out there in Radioland. This is those Muckrakers coming to you live once again through the power of the internet. I'm Pat.
And I'm Pete.
And this is episode 107. And it has been a hot minute since we had one of these last, hasn't it, Pete?
Did we really quit at 106? We're like, we made it over 100. Fuck it.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, the goal that I had laser focused in my mind for 2 years was hitting 100 episodes. So the second we hit that, I was like, okay, we won.
That's fair.
We won and America lost.
Yeah. No, we took time off because it just became too stressful too. You can't make the news about anything except Trump. Like, there's no way to do a political thing and not be like, hey, this is what's happening right now.
Yeah, it would have literally just been, well, here's how Trump fucked up the pandemic today, and then we would have talked about all the dead bodies. Like, seriously, okay, so his super spreader rallies right now are directly responsible for 30,000 infected and 700 dead Americans. That's like, just with his recent, in the last couple weeks, rallies alone, he's killed a third of the Americans that Osama bin Laden killed. And, like, he just derps on ahead.
I will say Osama bin Laden, as far as just looks goes, looked a lot better, I think, than Trump does.
Yeah, he was a lot healthier of individual.
Well, he was also on dialysis, I think, so I don't know about healthier, but he was anyway.
He looked healthier than Trump, but that's a low bar.
Yeah, that's a pretty low bar. So I'm looking at the polls right now, and I hate them.
Because it shows Biden so far ahead?
Yeah, I'm having flashbacks of last election when they were like, Hillary's so far ahead, there's no way that Hillary's ever gonna lose. Oh my God, Hillary lost.
If you look at the blue wall from back then, you would notice something terrifying, and that's that they only polled it every few days. So the polls are very, very jagged for Michigan and Wisconsin and all those places where Trump swept in and won. And he won by a teeny tiny margin in just the suburbs and stuff, these little tiny slits of areas where it was super close one way or the other. And that's where the Russians hammered these people with anti-Hillary ads and pro-Trump ads to try and depress enough of the vote to have Trump just eke out a victory through the Electoral College. So they're very clever in setting things up just right so that Hillary would get more votes, but Trump would still get the win.
Right. But yeah, so I haven't, they've been pushing the polls and oh, Biden's so far ahead. And I'm like, shut up. It's not going to help. And now they're going, all these articles are going, Trump's going to win. You know why? Because of the shy, quiet Trump voter. Basically, they're doing that silent majority bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, Trump's always been, in charge of the extremely vocal minority. There's all kinds of reasons why the GOP is the ruling minority right now, including things like California only has 2 Senate representatives for their gargantuan state. They should have way more members in the Senate.
Well, everyone has 2 senators.
I know, but that just seems ridiculous. That's
the way so the reason they designed it like that, a bicameral legislature, was so that people wouldn't just go campaign in California and Texas and then tell the rest of the country to go fuck itself.
They already do that, though. They just campaign in Florida and Ohio and the handful of swing states. Now this time around there's 10 swing states, but they're still telling the rest of the country to go fuck itself.
But the problem is if you got rid of this, if the Senate didn't give everybody an equal 2 senators per state, then the problem would be that smaller states, with smaller populations would have absolutely no say in anything at all.
Yeah, well, they can get more citizens. They can stop being such a shitty state. Maybe pull themselves up by their bootstrap and stop being so pathetic.
Well, this was the only way that our founding fathers could get everybody to agree to the Constitution, by the way, because small states were like, I'll be ruined. There's not enough room to fit more people in Connecticut.
If only Hamilton had just written a few more Federalist papers, he could have convinced them to, accept a better Constitution. Just saying.
I mean, I think he did a pretty good job, but yeah,
I'm putting it all on Hamilton.
That's what my problem with the Electoral College is not that I don't think it should be gotten rid of. I think it should just be kind of fixed.
Blow it up. Get them out of there. Just blow up the Electoral College itself. Just get rid of it. One man, one vote. I think that's one human, one vote, I guess.
I will argue
that should be how it goes.
I will argue this though in favor of getting rid of the Electoral College. The reason it was designed the founding fathers had this crazy idea that like, legislators, the people that like say yes or no on the candidate that like give the state its points. They assumed that they would be a little bit better educated than the populace, and like they would make better. Yeah, exactly. That they would make better decisions, right? So that it's not all just in the hands of an unwashed mass of people that might just vote for any populist asshole. But what do? We got a populist asshole. So yeah, it really doesn't serve its point, the Electoral College.
Right, like they should have looked at Trump and thought, well, this would be fucking horrific for the country, and not appointed him. Just go ahead and be like, you know what, America, y'all are dumb as hell. Hillary, you're the winner. And then just, what is it? We're up to 250,000 people dead now because of Trump's inept handling of the pandemic. Yeah, that's 250,000 American lives could have been saved if they had just given Hillary the win.
You know what? That's like the debates. The first one was fun because, Big Buffoon yelled. But what occurred to me when we got to the second debate, I didn't even finish watching it, was like, what I really want to see is I want to see this guy nailed down. But as they say, he's slicker than a bucket of eel snot. Like he's so slimy, you just can't hold on to him. He's got infinite excuses.
Yeah. The guy, he has no shame. He doesn't feel shame, so he's more than willing to just shout down everyone else in the room. He's the loudest guy there, and
I see this as a teacher. Sometimes you run into students and they're not doing well in class, or there's something wrong, and so you kind of like lay out, these are the facts and this is what you did, and it's excuses all the way down to the point where you go, okay, well, the point remains, you didn't do the thing. I don't care what other rabbits you pull out of your hat. That's what this guy, he's that student that's now president. He's just like pulling all the things out of
Joe
his
Biden
hat.
did it.
Yeah, Joe Biden ate my homework. Like, like fuck off, dude.
It's Hunter Biden's laptop. He's the one that's responsible for the pandemic. He did it all, not me. It's the
upsetting.
China virus, and I put the ban in place.
Since the last time we podcasted, so many things have happened. Ruth Bader Ginsburg fucking finally died, and then they rammed through another Supreme Court nominee who apparently is going to undo abortion and gay rights and fucking send black people back to the fucking 1800s. Like,
we said before, whenever they nominated Kavanaugh, that we can just expand the Supreme Court from 9 to 11 members, but now we've got to expand it all the way to 13 members for the Dems to have a majority again, which they could do, which they could still do, and it looks like they are going to do as long as they have the Senate majority. And here's what I think they should do: expand it to 13, or let's say 11. That way people won't bitch so much, and then blow up the filibuster so you'll never be able to pass a SCOTUS with a simple majority again. Make it required to have a 2/3 majority so people actually have to, present someone reasonable.
Right, and what I don't understand also, and this is what blows me about the Senate, why the hell doesn't the Supreme Court nomination have to pass the House and the Senate?
That's a good question.
That's crazy to me. So, like, I know that, like, there's a lot of, ins and outs of government, but, like, it blows my mind that only the Senate votes on it. I go, this should have to go through all three branches. Like, this should have to, and then the other justices should also vote. Like, but also the bigger problem is, and I think this is a Republican talking point that I actually agree with, strangely enough. The Supreme Court should not be where all of our battles are fought.
That's true. Like, it's insane that everything keeps ending up there, but they just keep tossing it to them because no one wants to admit defeat. And also, a lot of what they're doing is, especially the Republicans, is just made up bullshit. It's just a bunch of malarkey, as hopefully the next president would say. It's malarkey. And so they want to stretch out whatever they're talking about to the nth degree. They don't want to just let things die, so they just keep pushing it. And it's a bullshit thing that's never going to pass, so they just keep kicking it down the line until it finally arrives at the SCOTUS.
They keep coming up with more and more outlandish stuff. Like, I think Mexicans should be illegal. All right, I guess that's going to the Supreme Court, because that's definitely not constitutional.
Yeah.
And then their answer to that is not, maybe we need more reasonable legislation. They go, well, we need some Supreme Court justices that will make Mexicans illegal. No, that's the opposite way you should be going.
Make Mexicans illegal again, folks. And many people are saying, but the fake news, they won't cover it.
All I want in government is I want a Congress that none of us are happy about, but like we'll all just accept. You know what I mean? Like, just some super moderate like milk toast people that like we all get like one thing we want, but then like we don't get nearly everything we want, but we're all just like whatever, like the way people ignored Congress in the '90s, were people that watch C-SPAN. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like if somebody came up to you in a bar and was just like, "The Secretary of Agriculture is bullshit," you'd be like, "Whoa, man, fucking just have a drink. Well, stop talking about politics."
Those were the days. Like back whenever not everyone could even tell you who the vice president was, let alone who the secretary of housing is, who the secretary of education is. Nowadays we know those things, and that's a problem. I think like it's not a good thing whenever you have such detailed knowledge of who everyone in government is, and you know them all because they're each like fucking over some specific part of your life directly.
I still say, how come I know who the HUD's, the Housing and Urban Development Secretary is? Why is it I know who he is?
I know who he is, and I have an impression of him, right?
And,
like,
yeah. Did you, as a kid, did you ever go, man, I can't wait till I grow up and have an impression of the HUD Secretary? That's going to be great.
Right? No, like I barely knew who the president was back then. I asked my parent, "Is it Bill Clinton?" And I only remember that it was Bill Clinton president because of Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. I was a big fan of that show. And I'm like, he has the same name, and so I knew who the president was. But
this is we were living in the equivalent of if I started going out and doing stand up again. And like I did like just a tight set on the Smoot-Hawley tariffs of like the 1920s, and it killed and got me an HBO deal. People be like, "What the fucking what?" Like, yeah. So I don't know, man. I don't want to make America great again. I want to make politics boring again.
Yep. Though I will say that after 4 years of Trump, I think that we deserve the pendulum to swing like hard back in the other direction. Just for, let's say, 4 years. And let's give us everything that we want, such as, healthcare, free education, which I'll get to education in a second, such as, immigration reform, all that stuff, which would trigger the fuck out of the conservatives. But you know what? It would still be good for them because they would get to share in free education, free health care, free universal basic income.
I just love the idea of a super pro-Trumper in like free grad school just being like, "God damn, Joe Biden, it's fucking bullshit. I gotta come to college for free and get my master's in electrical engineering for free with a guaranteed job. This is some fucking bullshit, I tell you. Fucking Mexicans."
So
meanwhile, yeah.
So, and now I no longer actually benefit from free education because I'm I think one more payment away from being done with my student loans.
Nice.
Like this month right here that we're in right now, at the end of it, whenever I do that final payment, I'm done. It's all over.
I benefited from free education because I got into a master's program that got me my degree and got me into teaching. Had it not been for that master's degree, I'd still be pushing a broom somewhere, fucking contemplating suicide.
Yep, tell me about it. The old broom suicide. That's where most of America is right now, especially with unemployment. I think it just fell under 8% again, actually, but it wasn't like 20% at the height of the pandemic.
Yeah, so you ever had a job where you just think about putting your head in the mop bucket and just breathing real deep,
It's like that one game, What Became of Emily something another, where one of her brothers just worked at a factory where he cut fish all day, and then finally he's just like, fuck it, and he put his head in the slicer and cut his own head off. That's a graphic way to go, but like it's quick.
It's better than working at Macy's, I'm just saying.
Yep.
But we didn't even have a fish slicer.
You still found one, like the paper slicer or something. It'll get the job done. Might take, it's all dull and shit, so you have to like try a few times, but you'll get through it. But like, is thanks to the pandemic that I do get my loans paid off, though. Speaking of suicide, thanks to the pandemic, it all my loans went under clemency for the last 8 months, which means that they don't accrue interest, and I don't actually have to pay them, but I kept doing it anyway. So coming out of it, like, there's no loan left. It's wonderful. I've paid it off like a year early because of that.
At the very least, they should get rid of interest on educational loans. If you're not going to do loan forgiveness, then you should say that you're not allowed to charge any interest on any educational loans from here on out. Because at least that way people will be able to get them paid back. The problem is the fucking interest.
Mm-hmm. I mean, loans are actually set up so that you front load all the interest, and then only near the end you actually pay on the principal. So in the beginning, you're paying like 99% interest, 1% principal, and that way they can drag out how long it takes you to pay the loan to the nth degree. It's set
Yep.
up like that intentionally. Like I've had finance classes before. That's how they set it up by
Um,
design.
so, so right now I was looking at the polls and I made them go away because it was annoying me. But it was showing like Biden ahead in certain states and which states Trump is ahead in. I'm just gonna go ahead and say, man, what happened to Ohio?
I don't know, but I love that my vote actually matters this time around. Like, as a Georgian, I'm so used to my vote not meaning shit, but this is a battleground state
Well,
this time,
that's
bitches.
crazy that
So
Georgia might be purple. Like Georgia might,
it's
he might lose Georgia.
unless
Um,
like he has a phenomenal turnout on election day, he's lost Georgia. So
Which is
yeah,
hard to tell because like, and I will say the one positive out of all this fucking shit burger of everything is the voting numbers are off the goddamn charts.
yep, they've encouraged people to get out and vote like never before.
And I like that. Like, I hope that doesn't. I hope we don't
Yeah,
see like a fucking 90% decline next election. But
yeah,
yeah, like
I'm
because the other thing was they opened early voting in a bunch of states too, which has never been done before, which is a huge deal.
hmm
You see what happens when you make it so people can more easily access their voting rights?
yeah, they use them.
Yeah.
And my fondest wish is that, one positive thing that might come out of the Trump administration is he might have turned a lot of left-leaning individuals into lifetime voters, right? Like they're gonna look at
Right.
this shit and be like, never again. And so for the rest of their life, they'll be going to the polls and voting blue.
So the problem is with all the voter disenfranchisement and the election tampering and stuff like that. Usually you can do that if the turnout is not crazy high, but the higher the turnout is, and I could be wrong on this, but this is my theory. The higher the turnout is, the harder it is to steal the election.
That is true because if people vote in such overwhelming numbers, there's no way he can suppress enough of the vote
Right.
to win, and that's
And
what they're
it
trying to do. Like Kavanaugh is so far the only member of the Supreme Court that's actively trying to undermine the integrity of the election, but Trump could still try something like really shitty tomorrow and
right.
try to steal the election that way.
Well, the bigger danger is if it becomes like the Gore Bush thing where it comes down to a very thin margin and it has to go to the Supreme Court. That's what they're counting on, and they've packed the Supreme Court to vote in their favor. That's their whole plan.
Yeah, and I mean Trump's trying to rig it by just calling it on election day, sort of like if in a football game, if after the first quarter your team's ahead, the referee's like, "Well, that's it, game's over, we win. My favorite team wins. That's all she wrote. We don't need the other quarters." And
That's not gonna. I really don't think.
where
that's
would that
gonna
go,
work.
Peter? It would go to the Supreme Court, and then they could just hand it to Trump.
Well, no, he
That
can't.
that's
just,
his plan. That's his hope.
Right, but you can't just call it. Like you can't just be like, I won. Like while they're still counting, that doesn't work. Like there's too many election laws and stuff. Like before, that's not something that goes to the Supreme Court yet because you're still counting the fucking votes. Like you can't just be like, I call it, send it to the Supreme Court.
That's
But I mean, he doesn't know how government
hope
works
so.
anyway, so I'm sure
True.
that he thinks that
that it
But yeah,
does work
no,
that way. That just
but
whatever
no,
he tweets about happens.
yeah, but no, you can't just call it and go. But I do like that he's put a huge barrier up around the White House, like a no scalable fence, and
Uh-huh.
he's gonna hunker down. If anything, that's what always throws me off about his diehard supporters is they have this image of him as this strong sort of lion of a president, and I'm like, he built a bunker around the White House to hide in on election night.
Yeah, I mean, even before that, when he was gassing his own people, like he had barbed wire up all around the White House as he hid in a bunker. The fucking
Even
coward.
Even fucking Nixon like didn't hide behind a fucking bunker. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You know how bad that looks on election night when you're just fucking like hiding behind a wall.
That's like a good symbol of how well he's done as a president. Like what? What Washington? Walmart is hiding all their guns so that rioters don't like steal them and start shooting people. Like that's the thing
guess-
happening right now.
I guess finally, build that wall. Yeah, he did get a wall built around the White House that he himself is hiding behind.
Uh huh.
Yeah, and his supporters too. There's a lot of like threats of election intimidation. They ran
Yeah.
a Biden Harris bus off the road in Texas. Or
Oh,
tried to.
the FBI is actually investigating all the people that ran him off the road, so there will be repercussions for that.
Yeah, there should because you tried to attack a political candidate. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's the insane part of it. It's just like, whether your guy wins or loses, it should just be like, well, we're going to redouble our efforts to elect. You know what I mean? Not like we're going to run the fucking bus off the road and try to kill Joe Biden.
Yep.
Also, Joe Biden's not in that bus because he's not surrounded by fucking Secret Service.
Yeah, that's the other thing. As VP, he has Secret Service for life.
So yeah, if you're trying to run a Biden Harris bus off the road, I can almost guarantee you he's not in it, because if he was, you'd be riddled with bullet holes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's dumb, but I think the problem is like the opposition against him, because remember, he wasn't popular last time he won.
Yeah, no, he lost by 3 million votes.
And he's even more unpopular this time.
So that's why he's trying to suppress as many votes as he possibly can. And his supporters don't even have energy for him anymore. Also, he keeps like fucking people over after his rallies. Like he leaves and they're just stranded in the cold for all night long. It's hilarious. So he doesn't give a shit about his own people.
So he's done that 2 or 3 times. He has these big super spreader rallies where everybody's just sharing COVID. But like in Omaha, it was freezing out. And he was just like, hey, everybody. Okay, goodbye. Good night. And he flew away. But they didn't set the rally up to get everybody back to their cars. So it's a bunch of old people being like, I'm so cold. I'm gonna die. I guess Trump still loves me, but
That's the perfect thing after a super spreader rally is, being out in the freezing cold to lower your immune system all night, right?
He did the same thing in Florida, but it was the opposite. It's so hot. Like all these people were fucking passing out. Also, I think I've said this before and I'll say it again. I don't even want to go to a concert that is that packed with an act that I want to see. Why would anybody go to a packed place to see a fucking dumb politician talk? The only time I would brave the only way I would brave a crowd to be at a political rally for a fucking president would be if I got in a time machine and went back in time and like got into the crowd to see the Gettysburg Address.
That would be cool.
I mean, I'd be like, okay, I'll brave the shitty weather to see Lincoln give this address, but nobody else. I don't give a fuck about a politician. I can watch that from my fucking computer. Why would I want to fucking stand out there and be fucking cold or hot?
Yeah, like I love Warcraft and Blizzard Entertainment, but I still buy like the virtual BlizzCon ticket rather than going there in person, just because then I get to sit back and actually watch the event and not watch some guy sweat in front of me from a mile away from stage.
I went to a concert once to see Bob Dylan, and it was like
awesome.
We paid extra to stand closer to the stage.
Yes.
And this concert was like 5 hours long, and so 5 hours of just standing there and being like, "Woo, Bob Dylan!" I'm like, never again.
Never again.
Fuck this shit.
I
can't imagine doing that for a fucking politician.
Yeah. Oh my God. So I have something that I threw together here, just because we're going into Election Day, and I'm sure that our listeners made it, however far we are, 20 minutes into this podcast now, and still aren't 100% sure on who they should vote for tomorrow. So I would like to remind them of... Go ahead.
Is there really an undecided voter? Is there really someone right now that's going, Martha, I just don't know. I can't. On one hand, Joe Biden was a vice president, and I like the things that he says about it. On the other hand, Trump really hates brown people and has done nothing about the coronavirus. I just don't know, honey.
So I put together a list of what I believe are Trump's 10 greatest accomplishments. It was supposed to be like a top 5 greatest hits list, but then I just sort of kept going.
Okay, all right.
So we're gonna I'm gonna start at the bottom of the list because these are just sort of fun. They're more fun facts than really big things.
Yeah, start at the bottom, and I'll tell you after each one. I'll pretend like I'm one of his staffers and tell you how he's winning.
Okay, so number 1, and this is probably the weakest thing that he's done.
Yeah, hold on. Number 1 would be number 10 because it always goes to the most important.
True. So number 10, he nearly started World War III.
You know what? He's tough on crime. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, he bombed, what's his name, Soleimani? At the start of this year, that was like the first thing that was trending in 2020 was World War III, because he felt like killing some guy because the generals gave him like a list of things. And whenever you're talking to a dumb boss, you want to give them like the obvious answer so they can pick it and feel smart, but then like an obviously wrong answer. And he picked the obviously wrong answer. Like when Bart Simpson was offered like $10,000 or an elephant, he picked the gag prize, the elephant. Well, Trump picked the gag prize and nearly killed us all.
Yeah, nearly, but like you're also looking at the other side is not nearly as unhinged as we are. So,
Yeah.
But tough on crime. That's what I'm gonna say.
Yeah. So at the start of the year before last, I think it was. So at the start of 2019 or 2018, he shut down the government for 2 months for no reason whatsoever, tanking the economy and badly hurting people around the holidays.
Oh yeah, I remember that because he wanted something to pass, or no, the budget. He wouldn't sign the budget, right?
Right, because he wanted his wall. He wanted wall money.
Oh yeah, he wanted the wall money for him. Like he wasn't actually going to build the wall.
$1 billion.
Yeah,
Oh,
he was like
he was just going to pocket
he
it.
was like Dr. Evil. Yeah, he wanted like 8 billion. Well, as his staffer, I would just say, you know what? Sometimes the government needs to be shut down. It's like rebooting your computer because now it's stronger than ever.
Unplug it and plug it back in again.
Yeah, exactly. That's all he was doing.
Gotcha. He pulled out of the Paris Accord, putting the human race in further danger of extinction.
Honestly, that one's on Mitch McConnell because as a large reptile, he wants the Earth to continually heat so that he can enjoy it as a cold-blooded fucking animal.
It's funny how we're like the only functioning government on Earth that's not a part of it, because there's only two places on Earth that's not a part of the Paris Accord, and the other one has like no functioning government. They're like in the middle of a massive civil war, so they're just like they don't have leadership to join it to begin with. So it's like them and us that aren't in it, and the entire rest of the world, first, second, and third world countries, are all part of the Paris Accord. They're all banding together to try and save Earth. Trump is the only one who's like, no, because Obama.
I would say
and so he pulled out of it.
I would say, well, he pulls out the Paris Accords because that shows that he's tough on French.
Yep.
It's weird because I think these guys, they're all old. They're hedging their bets on like climate change doesn't matter because they'll be fucking dead before it gets bad for them. I think that's all that's all I can think of. Like you and I are unfortunately are in the middle, so we'll be old and decrepit, during the like fucking post-apocalyptic, like wasteland when everybody's killing each other for gasoline. We'll be in our 60s going, oh, God damn it. I looked forward to this when I was younger. Fucking hell.
Oh, it would be.
Oh, Peter, I tell you, this would be a blast if only I still had my young legs.
Yeah.
Oh, I could run.
Can you imagine that?
No,
We
that
got
would
arthritic knees and we're just trying to fight blood cults for fucking bread, Yeah.
Oh, God, it'd be the worst.
Oh, well, that's what's gonna happen.
All right. Number 7. He broke the nuclear treaty with Iran, putting the human race in further danger of extinction.
Hey, listen, man. He's just tough on life,
So a lot of people like to defend him being BFFs with what's his face, Kim Jong-un.
You're right.
By saying, well, at least now we're not having to worry about being nuked by North Korea.
We never
North Korea.
We never had to worry about being nuked by North Korea. We had to worry about them nuking China or fucking Japan or South Korea.
Yeah. So, like, North Korea is not going to have nuclear capabilities for quite a while.
They might.
But
They're closer than they were because of him.
Because of Trump, yeah. So Trump is actually helping them along. So even though people aren't afraid of it actively right now, that's mostly Fox News isn't harping about it all the time anymore. So they think that they're safe. The people that watch Fox News think that they're safer. But Iran is definitely ramping up, creating nukes because they actually have the ability to make them and ones that can reach America. So good job breaking that just because it was something that Obama did and he wanted to pull out of it. Which, need I remind you that this advertises to the entire rest of the world that you should never make a treaty with America because they'll just go back on their end of the bargain for no reason whatsoever. They're not looking at it as Trump pulled out. They're looking at it as America pulled out.
Yeah.
And so that damages our standing in the world badly.
I gotta tell you too, as a side note, because I have Fox News on in the background as I often do during this podcast. Luckily, it's silent. Tucker Carlson is interviewing Kirstie Alley, washed-up actress who hasn't been relevant since like 1990. Because apparently she's a Trump fan now, and she said she voted for Obama twice, and he didn't do much of anything. I just saw the little ticker at the bottom, and I was like, man, Fox loves any washed-up celebrity that they can get.
Yeah, it's so if you have Fox News on mute and Janine Pirro comes on, you can still hear her, right? She's like in the distance.
That's like Hardball Chris Matthews. You can hear him on mute.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, it's like they had Scott Baio, I think. Remember when like Trump had some kind of thing? I think they get all these old washed up celebrities, A, because they can't get anybody else with a brain, but B, I think for old people, it's like the member berries from South Park, where they're like, remember Scott Baio? Remember?
Oh, I remember.
I remember Christy Alley. You remember Christy Alley?
I remember Christy Alley. Yeah. Number 6. Trump has told over 20,000 unique lies in less than 4 years.
It's crazy they lie so much that they have a counter that just tracks lies.
Right? I mean, he's lied more than every other American politician, I'm pretty sure, combined at this point. And yet they still say, he tells it like it is. It's the dead opposite. He just lies his ass off nonstop, and he has no shame, so he just keeps, like, blabbing on.
I would absolutely love a liar style situation with a president. Wouldn't that be great? Like, if just a president for 24 hours, the president has to tell the truth about everything.
No, the goddamn pen is blue.
I don't think that would bother Trump if he had to tell the truth about everything, because I don't think the truth or the lie matters to him.
I mean, yeah, absolutely not. I don't think he can tell the difference anymore. Like, the truth is whatever he feels like it is. And he has said that before about, like, his own wealth whenever he's trying to say that I'm worth $14 billion, folks. He also included, but, it depends on a number of different things, how wealthy I am on any given day, including just how I feel that day.
Also,
so yeah, he's just making shit up.
Well, the other thing too is like sometimes he has told the truth, and you just go like, "Wow, that's crazy." There's a nugget of like, there's a nugget of like truth in there. Like the whole, if you go back to the debate with him and Hillary about him not paying his taxes, and
because I'm smart.
Yeah.
Folks.
So he says he lies, but then he'll say shit like, "Oh my God, he just told you he doesn't pay taxes because he's smart." So he's telling you if you pay your taxes, you're an idiot because you are.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, I don't want to get into taxes. I'll say I don't think any of us should pay taxes. Let the government print its own money. But then there's like all kinds of economic reasons why you can't just do that.
I think it was, I can't remember, it was Dan Cummings. There was a comedian that brought up a really good point. He was like, I think that you should have a goddamn itemized receipt during tax time. And he goes, the reason they don't, because there'd probably be a lot of people that'd be real unhappy and some blood in the streets. But yeah.
I just had a thought. The whole universal basic income thing.
Yeah.
What if that existed, but it only paid for like people's taxes, and it varied based on how much taxes you owe, right? So like it'll look at someone and say, you owe $5,000 in taxes, and here's your $5,000, and we'll put it straight into your taxes, and you're good to go. So your taxes were all auto paid. I don't know. That's just a thought.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely
that way everyone will still have money based on their own worth and what they put into the world, and they're not just being given free money, but at the same time, as you make more money, you're not punished for earning more money. And people
that's the problem. It's not punishment, it's each according to his ability. So like it'd be like if me and Schwarzenegger went to the gym and we lifted the same weights, and I'm like, well, Arnold, why don't you lift heavier weights? And he'd be like, that's not fair, I'm being punished because I am stronger. Like, no, you're not being punished, dude. You lift more weight so you can, you fucking asshole.
They each according to their means is what do you call it? The Ayn Rand principle of you should be paid based on your worth, but still.
No, I fucking hate Ayn Rand. That's not what I mean. Fuck her.
But you did quote her.
She railed against government assistance, but then spent her whole life on government assistance.
It's kind of funny actually. She's actually kind of like an old school Trumpian. I can see why they like her.
Yeah, well, because Trumpism is I got mine. Pull the fucking ladder up behind me.
Yeah, because Trump doesn't see other people winning as him winning, so he doesn't care about them. He only sees winners and losers, and he must always be the winner, so everyone else must necessarily be a loser.
Trump is the guy in the horror movie who, like, runs into the room first and locks the door and won't let everybody else in because, he'd rather them get eaten than risk his own life.
Yeah.
But then realizes that, like, there's already a monster in the room with him.
I mean, so far that hasn't happened yet. Trump's been pretty fucking lucky. He'd just fall ass backwards into like a golden throne and all the food he could have while everyone dies outside the door. And then
my big question to you, and I know we went on a side tangent. When do the Senate elections come up? When are we voting on senators? Or is that happening right now?
That's happening right now. That's happening right now.
All right,
also.
cool.
And we're about to hopefully flip the House blue. And also Mitch McConnell might lose his seat, so that'd be wonderful.
So
because his election is right now also.
More importantly, I could give a fuck less if Trump wins or loses, because if the Senate flips and they keep the House, hey, Mr. President, why don't you go fuck yourself because you're about to be impeached.
Yep.
Because I cannot imagine him serving another 4 years with a blue Senate and a blue House, and then being like, yeah, sure, Trump, do whatever you want.
I mean, he's already committed another federal crime just in the last couple days because he joked about Joe Biden getting shot and killed. And that's actually a felony to joke about someone in government being murdered like that.
Which is unfair because
anyone to
we
do.
tried very hard on this podcast to never specifically say I would kill or harm an elected official, even though there were many times when we wanted to, and I do believe we implied it on a number of times, but I don't think
They can't prove that.
Yeah, I don't think you can be arrested for implying something, even though I just admitted that we implied it.
No, you didn't. Who's asking? Says who?
Yeah,
says who? Yeah, but yeah, we try very hard, and yet Trump just goes around being like, and then Joe Biden, oh, wouldn't it be sad if he was shot, or whatever he said.
You know, it's very interesting, the fucking the stuff that like they use as scare tactics on the right. It's very interesting, you know, because
they actually do it.
Well, no, not even that.
They do everything they accuse us of.
Well, they say that like if the left is elected, this and that will happen, and then you kind of go, well, that sounds wonderful.
Oh, that type of stuff. Yeah.
Everyone will have access to abortions, and you'll have gay couples in your neighborhood, and they're going to give everybody a free basic income, and literacy rates will go up. And you're like, that all sounds really good. Why are you upset about this?
And you'll be cold because they'll stop with the book burnings in the library.
And socialism. Okay, well, fucking look where capitalism's got us, man. I'm not opposed to trying something new.
Yep. So, number 5. And this is where we get into, like, the good ones. So, starting at number 5, this is the Mueller report, which I must remind people...
I'm still very upset about that.
Yep, I mean, hopefully something can still come of that, you realize, right? Like, they didn't bury everything completely.
If I see Mueller...
We still have the rest of the unredacted documents to be released.
If I see Mueller in public, I'm going to throw eggs at him.
That doesn't count as a threat, right?
Why don't you write a 600-page report on that, you fucking asshole?
So keep in mind that during the Mueller report, many of Trump's closest personnel were arrested for conspiring with Russia to steal the election. Trump was found guilty of 11 counts of obstruction of justice, wherein he buried evidence of himself conspiring with Russia. And Donald Trump Jr. would be in prison right now for conspiring with Russians at Trump Tower, except Mueller decided that Trump Jr. was too stupid to know what he was doing, even though there's precedent that exists for the dead opposite. You know, the whole ignorance of the law is no excuse for breaking the law.
I was going to say, like, that's never been, like, an excuse that helped me in my life when I got in trouble, where I was like, hey, man, I'm pretty stupid. You sure I can be convicted for this?
And they're like, oh, well, you should have just told us so. You're free to go.
They say
Wait a minute. You got to prove you're stupid. Eat this crayon.
They say that Trump Jr. might be eyeing a run in 2024.
He doesn't have the charisma of his dad. No one does. So, you know, let him try.
Yeah, that's what I said. Fucking try it, you stupid little weasel.
Mm-hmm. I mean, his kids are also, like, even white. That's another thing that perplexes me about Trump, because everyone's saying, you know, he's such a rock star and all that. He's a stone wall and all that. All he does is whine. All he does is whine and bitch and complain. He just gets up there on the stage and... Okay, so remember when Jeb Bush was all like, please clap, and everyone was all like, oh, that's just the saddest thing ever. Well, Trump's up there on stage literally saying, women, please like me, okay? Suburbanite women, don't you want your husbands to go back to work? Why don't you like me? Why don't you like me?
His brand is strong. That's the thing. He's the first politician that's running not as a politician, but as a brand.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That works so much better. You know, one thing that terrifies me, and this is something I waited 4 years to like look up, and I looked it up and I was like, God damn it, is 4 years ago, every single predictive thing that could possibly predict who would win the election was all pointing to Hillary, right? Everything that had ever successfully predicted past elections pointed to Hillary winning, except for one thing, one predictive factor predicted that Trump was going to win, and then he did win. And do you know what that thing was?
What?
Which Halloween mask of the politician sold the most? And Trump Halloween mask outsold Hillary's. So then he won. And so 4 years later, remembering this, I Googled, you know, is Trump mask or Joe Biden mask selling more? And Trump is outselling Joe Biden like 3-1.
Yeah.
So I'm like, God damn it.
That's interesting. I still think he's gonna win. I don't want him to. And I desperately like want to believe all the stuff that like there's no way he's gonna win. I think he's gonna win, but I'm putting my hope in the fucking Senate flipping, and I don't see the House is not up for re-election right now, right?
I mean, not enough of them, no.
Yeah,
Not,
so
not
the
enough
House,
for them to flip.
so the House will stay blue. So basically, if the Senate flips, and it very well might,
This
man,
this
we
is
could
this is the friendliest map for the Senate we've seen in
we could
ages.
we
So
could
this
see
is our
we could see
chance.
Lindsey Graham retire and go home to fuck prostitutes like he wants to do.
Yep. I mean, that would be so wonderful if this was the end. Okay, so Ted Cruz isn't up for re-election, boo. But Mitch McConnell is, yay. Lindsey Graham is, yay. That would be wonderful.
If I can just get Lindsey Graham and Mitch McConnell the fuck out of the Senate, I would be. And even if the Senate didn't completely flip, I'd be like, well, at least those assholes are gone.
If fucking Turtle Tywin Lannister, aka Mitch McConnell, was removed from the Senate, that would be one of the best things that could ever happen to America. That guy is a fucking feckless Ivanka. Like,
No, he's not, well. That's the thing. He's not a fucking. You had it right when you called him Tywin Lannister. Although we should not use Game of Thrones reference anymore because that Game of Thrones, the last 2 seasons were basically the Donald Trump of fucking popular series. They ruined everything.
I wasn't calling him dumb as Ivanka. I was that's the what do you call it? The Ivanka's my replacement word for cunt because what's her face said you know she called Ivanka a feckless cunt. So now I say you feckless Ivanka.
No, he is a he's as much as we thought Cheney was evil, this guy is pure fucking evil. Like
he blocked hundreds of lower court seats that Obama was trying to appoint, just so whenever Trump came into office, he would then have hundreds of judges to appoint. And of course, he appointed some of the worst, forms of scum and villainy that humanity's ever seen.
He had the vision to realize that like his party could win. The way his party could win would not be with the executive or even the legislative branch, but will be appointment to court seats that are open and appointment to the Supreme Court, which could give his party an edge that they don't have anywhere else for generations. Which fucking brilliant tactical move, and upsetting that no one else saw it and went to stop him.
It would have been nice, but I mean, like they haven't been able to stop him for a long time. Like you got to remember what Obama was facing versus what Trump is facing. Obama came in 2008, he became president with a blue Senate, blue House, and he had 2 years to actually get stuff done. After that, the House and the Senate flipped red, and they never turned back the entire time he was president. And then Trump came into his presidency, red Senate, red House. And then 2 years later, the House flipped blue, but the Senate stayed red. By even more than it was whenever he first became president. So he's had free run like Obama never had access to just pass whatever he wanted and do whatever he wanted. We've had to deal with Mitch McConnell for 8 years now as the leader of the Senate, and he has catastrophically damaged America.
Yeah, I'm waiting for this, and this is something I've been thinking about. I can't wait till another Supreme Court justice dies. And so the new candidate that they dig up is the body of former Supreme Court Justice, I believe it was it Roger B. Taney? He was the one that passed down the Dred Scott decision.
Oh.
Well. Yeah, Roger B. Taney. He delivered the Dred Scott decision, which if you know your American history, Dred Scott was a former slave that had been taken to a free state and then back to a slave state, but then he argued his case saying that since I lived in a free state, technically, am I not now free? And Roger B. Taney delivered the fucking thing. He goes, not only are you not free, you're not even a citizen, so you can't even be in court. And then also, if you're a black person in the United States, you're not a citizen either. So everyone go fuck yourself. Good day.
Yeah, that sounds like something that 6 members of the Supreme Court right now would agree with.
Yeah, so I'm waiting for them to just dig that guy's body up, fucking put him on a slab like Frankenstein, and like the middle of the Senate, reanimate him and be like, our new Chief Justice, Roger B. Taney.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, ready for number 4?
Oh, yeah. Number 4.
Number 4. Trump's impeachment. Trump was impeached and found guilty of attempting to conspire with Ukraine to rig the election in 2020.
Why?
I'd like for you to do us a favor, though.
This is upsetting to me. Why, when they talk about him, do they not call him
the impeached president?
The impeached president. They dropped that so fast. No, he was impeached. You call him by his title, impeached, Mr. Impeached President. I have a question.
Yeah, like they really need to keep hammering him on that, just to remind everyone that he should have been removed, but as a political ploy, the Senate decided not to remove him.
Yep.
And I mean, because he will not be punished for conspiring with foreign governments to rig the election, he just keeps doing it. And now he's probably gotten a bit smarter about doing it, so he could still be doing it and just not telling anyone. But I mean,
I wouldn't say smarter. I would just say bolder.
Yeah. It's like fucking Rudy Giuliani, who was caught by fucking Borat, of all people, trying to have sex with a 15-year-old.
I was tucking in my shirt.
I was tucking in my shirt. It was tied very tightly around my penis. That's why I was jerking at it so vigorously for so long. Fucking Rudy Giuliani, he said that he found a Hunter Biden laptop in Ukraine, and that the stuff I found on, and that's the only thing that is 100% the conspiracy theory about Hunter Biden, is that Giuliani is the one that says he saw the laptop. Okay, what was on it? He said that he'll tell us before the election. He's never said shit. Yeah, there was nothing on it. There's probably no laptop. He just made that shit up, and fucking Fox News reports on it, so now a lot of people believe it.
Didn't Tucker Carlson say that he sent this stuff through the mail and it got lost and he didn't have a tracking number?
I hadn't heard about that.
It's some dumb shit. Like, I think the problem is they saw how well the buttery emails worked in 2016. They're trying to replicate everything, but they don't get that they've already broken the fucking bullshit system. There's so much bullshit out there that there's really nothing you can do to change the course of the election. It is what it is. Like, I mean, there's no like buttery mails or any of that that's going to do any difference. Like, there's so many conspiracy theories out there that, like, throwing another one in doesn't do shit. It's like your house is on fire and you're going like, you know what would really change this? If I threw a pack of matches in there. No, man, it's fucking going.
Yep. Damn.
But yeah, I'd like to run around. He was impeached. Impeached, motherfucker.
Oh, my God. We're getting down to the wire. Number 3. This one actually isn't that bad now that I look at it, but are you ready?
Yeah.
He is still, I must remind everyone, the unindicted co-conspirator 1 from the misappropriation of campaign finances, which would have landed him in prison for spending donations for paying off porn stars were he not the president. But King Trump is above the law, so...
How do family values people be like, he paid off a porn star with campaign finance money? That would have sunk anybody else, like...
But for him, it's barely even a footnote.
Yeah.
And it is what landed Cohen in very real prison, but in Cohen, which is Trump's lifelong personal, well, not lifelong, but for like 10 years now, his personal lawyer, what landed him in prison in his indictment mentioned an unindicted co-conspirator, which has been confirmed to be President Trump. They're both like guilty of this, but only one of them went to prison because the other one's president and King Trump is above the law, as I keep saying. But as soon as he's not president anymore, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's been a lot of scandals. You know, I think that's what this is. This is really showing me. I go, man, that's a lot. Like, wow, really, really scandalous fucking presidency, and it just no one cares. Well, people do care, but
yeah. I mean, what's crazy is that I put this list together like really fast a few hours ago. I was just like thinking through what all we could talk about on this our election day podcast. Pre-election day? It's 8:46 as I record this, so we're just like less than 4 hours, just over 3 hours till it's election day. Oh my God, be still my jackhammering heart. But back to my point. I put this together really fast off the top of my head, so there's probably a lot of really big things that have totally slipped my mind at this point. Actually, when I'm done reading this, we should like go back to like our list of podcasts and just like look down the old titles and see if we see like shit that we'd forgotten about.
just more like fucking like, oh, and he did this, and he did this, and that, and that, and some of that, and some of this.
Yeah. Okay, so these last two are the most horrific things he's done. Are you ready?
Yes.
Number 2. The baby cages.
Yeah, so their big argument was they and I will give them credit for this. They said this whole deportation thing was started under Obama, and it was, but the problem is you can't be like, well, you know, the Holocaust was started under Hitler. We're just doing like, no, you don't get to. That doesn't make it better. And also, yeah, Obama's fucking immigration policy was a fucking absolute horrendous disaster.
It was also, ICE was founded under Bush, and Obama could have done better, but he was being blocked at every angle by Mitch McConnell.
I don't blame the president for everything, but I do think that his immigration policy was one of the worst things.
Yes, it was. It really was one of the worst things. And even like before the baby cages, we were harping on Obama's handling of immigration.
Yeah.
But the thing is that Trump is the one who created a specific mandate of cruelty, like where they were required to be cruel and separate families and lock babies in cages.
Yeah.
And so Trump kidnapped thousands of children, and he murdered a lot of them, letting them die in his baby cages, being mishandled. And what is it? 585 children have still not been reunited with their families all these years later. And the children that have returned have experienced severe PTSD of being kidnapped. This has been called, by humanitarians, this has been identified as state-mandated torture and inhumane treatment of children.
Well, the whole problem is like deterrents don't really work. You know what I mean? Like, oh, if you come to the United States and they catch you, they'll separate you from your family. Yeah, well, then people are going to be like, well, just don't get caught,
But like Obama was locking up or people that were caught crossing the border, but Obama did not say separate their children. What you got to do is pull the families apart and deport the parents. Leave the kids here.
And that's all because of fucking Darth Sidious fucking Stephen Miller, who is a fucking literal Nazi in the U.S. in the government making policy.
It was his idea.
So I would say, I guess the argument for this on Trump's side would be like he's tough on babies.
Yep.
Babies have had it too easy for too long, and we need a candidate that's tough on children.
Yep. Number 1. So what do you think is the most horrific thing that Trump has done?
Oh man. That's a tough one. I guess probably just letting people die during the coronavirus thing and be like, it's not a big deal.
Yep, number 1, the pandemic. That's what I have here. Trump knew how dangerous COVID was and actively encouraged people to do the opposite of what they needed to do to stay safe, thus sending his own people by the hundreds of thousands to their own deaths.
Well, his
Trump
argument was he
Americans.
He didn't want people to panic.
I didn't want them to panic, okay? I want them to smile as they die.
I don't want them to panic. I just want them to get a disease and die.
I want them to die with a smile on their face, folks, okay? Bigly.
And that's the problem. That's why so many people are like acting like fucking wearing masks is an absolute affront to their personal freedoms because the president has told them that like it's a plan to take away your freedoms and
they never came up with like the government is not leading this at all. The government's just standing back. The federal government is just standing back and doing jack shit all nothing. They have no specific plans or policies in place. They're letting the states sort of do their own things, and some states are making much worse decisions than others, and that's why the infection rate is way higher in some states than others. And what, I mean, outside of you could say that, or Trump's argument is that there's nothing more he could have done. Well, he didn't do anything, so clearly there's more he could have done, and other countries are handling this differently, and they're having way lower infection rates. America is, are we 3 or 4%? We're 4% of the world's population, and we have 20% of its COVID cases. Yeah. So, we are clearly... This was clearly a fuck up on the leadership's part, because we're doing the exact opposite of what so many other countries are doing. So clearly he fucked this up hard, and his encouraging people not to wear a mask was the opposite of what he should have done, and him letting people reopen when they shouldn't be reopening is what he shouldn't be doing. And America should be leading the charge, fixing COVID right here. But Trump is even pulling out of the worldwide efforts to come up with a cure for COVID. He's all like, we're pulling all of America's resources out of this. We're just going to do it on our own, folks.
Yeah.
Well,
he got
it's
COVID,
hard to get it.
And I'm really sad for the holidays he didn't just die of it. That's also really like, oh God, let him die of a fucking disease that he caused.
I would have felt a bit annoyed that he never had a chance to lose the election properly if he had died of the COVID right before the election. Yeah. But all the same, it would be a relief to be done with him. Then we wouldn't be sweating bullets tomorrow as he tries to most likely steal the election. Oh, but also another thing is that Obama had a pandemic response team in place just for such an occasion, and Trump, because Obama put the team together, blew the team up, and he never replaced it with anything because Trump's incompetent. He doesn't know how to lead. He doesn't do anything. He is the bully that runs up and down the beach kicking down sandcastles with no knowledge of how to actually build sandcastles himself. And if anyone asks him, he'll be like, I can build the best sandcastles, folks. Everyone says so. But the fake news, they don't want to talk about it.
I will say that I really hoped that the plague would be a little bit more interesting, more like The Stand, and less like, oh, we should all just stay in our houses and not congregate.
Baby, can you dig your man?
You should put that as the
Ow,
opening
you
music.
righteous man.
You should put that as the opening music for this episode.
We'd get a copyright strike.
Really?
Yeah.
God damn it. Goddamn,
Certainly on YouTube, probably not on SoundCloud.
goddamn copyright strikes.
Like, we had one episode a while back where Wesley sang a parody of Yakety Sax, and because it had the Yakety Sax music in the background, YouTube struck it down.
We got a Yakety Sax strike.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
And-
The owner of Yakety Sax is like, they can't use it unless they pay.
Yep.
My-
Got to be dead for 70 years thanks to Walt Disney.
My father, Yakety Sax the Third, didn't come up with that so people could just use it freely.
Mm-hmm. So,
But yeah.
So do we want to check out our old podcast titles?
I feel like emotionally we're already almost at 60 minutes, and emotionally I don't know if I could do it.
This is okay. So the name of our last 4 episodes, in chronological order, up to the most recent one before this one, was coronavirus spreads, toilet paper apocalypse, and quarantine blues. It's like, wow, this is us. I know what we were thinking about back then. Oh, before that was John Bolton's book. What the fuck was? Did I read that?
See, that was the other thing I hate about this administration. Everybody that leaves is like, I've got a bombshell book. Buy my book. And I'm like, no one wants to read your stupid book.
Oh, gross, blood pipes. Oh yeah, for a long time there we started talking about other stuff.
Yeah, because we were just really tired of what do you call it? Let's see if the blood pipe still exists.
The Muller may I. Oh my god, we used to have like fun episodes. But also, Ben Carson's Oreos. What? What was that about?
Probably some dumb shit that Ben Carson did. Remember when he stole a bunch of money, and then blamed his wife? Oh my god, blood pipe music was really loud.
Kavanaugh Triangle. Oh yeah, because he talked about the Devil's Triangle.
Oh yeah, back when Kavanaugh, they found his fucking diary. So I will say this, man. I was arguing with a friend once, and they go, they ruined that man's life. They raked him over the coals. I go, yeah, but that's what you do if you're a fucking Supreme Court justice. You literally have every piece of your life examined. If you don't want the job, then don't do it.
Exactly. Like,
But also
we need to know who this person is before they get a lifetime appointment to create the law of the land.
But also I love that no one was like, dude, no, the Devil's Triangle is not a drinking game. It's 2 dicks, 1 chick. Like, come on, man. Like, fucking, this is why I just want to be a senator, so I can be like, excuse me, that is not what the Devil's Triangle is.
Excuse me, Senator? Senator? May I have the floor? They clap in the middle. What? They clap in the middle.
2 dicks.
That forms a triangle.
2 dicks, 1 chick. That's what it's about. I yield the rest of my time.
But, yep. So, yeah, good lord, it has been almost an hour. So, damn. Also, our last several podcasts were only like 30 minutes. Like, we hopped on, we did like a quick Dear Wesley, and then we jumped back off again. This is the first one where we actually went into politics in a long time. Timely, too, I think, because, again, the election's tomorrow. So if you're listening to this and you haven't voted, you might want to get on that, because you're probably listening to this on the day of the election or after it.
Oh, yeah,
if it's over, then...
You should release this immediately, buddy. You should get to editing.
Yeah.
I got some more bad news for you.
Oh, no.
A Pennsylvania bakery's election-themed cookie poll is now showing a clear frontrunner, with Trump cookies outselling Biden cookies by a margin of almost 6-1.
Oof. Like, I mean, orange cookies look delicious, though, right?
Yeah.
Better than the pearly white cookies.
I wonder if they're whites-only cookies.
Those would be the Trump cookies.
And that's why they're selling so well.
Could be.
I feel weird that we're in a point where we're putting our faith in a cookie poll, but like, it's 2020.
I was looking at Halloween masks earlier.
Yeah. So like, fucking, it's 2020. What the fuck else do you expect?
The worst fucking year that's ever existed.
No, there were probably worse years, but this is definitely... the Civil War was a pretty bad year when half the country tried to kill the other half over slavery.
Did you know that they've actually had, what do you call it, polls out that shows that anxiety in America right now is greater than it was in the times of the Civil War?
That's weird. Although I want to know.
I don't know how they tested it back then, but that's what they say.
How do you get
that people today are more anxious than they were back then.
How do you get a poll going in 1860? Well, also imagine the Civil War if you also had Facebook.
Oof,
The reason
that would be
the
rough.
reason anxiety was a little bit different back then was because like it would be weeks, maybe months before you heard something. It wasn't like every day like Fox News going, the Union, today the Union wants to take your slaves and have them fuck your wife. Here's Janine Pirro to tell you why they want slaves to fuck your wives and daughters.
The president doesn't. Yeah. Thank you, Janine.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, I think and I blame that for a lot of the stuff we're in now is the social media algorithms that go, oh man, did you like QAnon conspiracy videos? Well, look, here's all of them. Watch them all the time.
Like, the first time I saw QAnon, I just sort of dismissed it offhand as complete nonsense, and now the president supports them, so god damn it, I have to actually learn more about them.
The algorithm never goes, hey buddy, you've been watching some pretty crazy stuff. Why don't you take a break and drink a glass of water?
Yeah.
It sees what you're doing and goes, hey, would you like to buy a bunker? Like it just, yeah, like capitalism is just trying to upsell you on all your crazy.
I mean, conspiracy theories have been around forever. Like, after 9/11 happened, I read David Icke's book, like, Through the Looking Glass, What Really Happened on 9/11, and thought it was, interesting, but I didn't put that much stock in it.
Yeah.
It was just, like, one guy talking about lizard people. And so, you'd read it like fiction. It's a fun read. But now QAnon is just, like, all over the place, and no one actually took the time to sit down and write a book about it. So it's just like a series of people yelling at YouTube cameras.
I love conspiracies. I do. And that's one of the things I've talked about many times that makes me angry. One of the things that makes me personally angry about right now the way things are going. They've ruined good conspiracy thought. And conspiracy, like, it used to be very interesting. You would discuss, what really happened to Kennedy or like, some like very real conspiracy stuff. And now it's just nutty fucking, like, Trump is flying around the world fighting pedophile vampires for real. That's your fucking, that's the head of your action movie. This fucking clown that can't walk up a hill. Fuck off.
Yeah. Oh my God. I just found my my notes for episode 107. Holy shit. I was just like looking at my desktop. I'm like, what? Episode 107? I clicked on it. I'm like, holy shit. Oh my God. This has Eat Bleach news. I wonder what that was about.
Oh, that was probably when Trump said you could shoot yourself up with bleach.
And some people actually called the Center for Disease Control and asked them if that, not CDC, they called Poison Control and asked them if that was a thing they should do. And they're like, no.
If I was Poison Control, I'd have a really hard time telling them no. I'd be like, hold on. Are you, who are you voting for in the presidential election?
Trump? Okay,
Yeah.
maybe.
Then maybe.
If Trump says you should do it, then you should take his advice if you're going to vote for him.
If you're going to vote for him, you should listen to him, 100%, yeah.
Yep.
Well, the coffee's calling, and it's 9 o'clock.
I hear that coffee calling, toss salad and scrambled eggs.
So we should definitely write a concession speech for the election. We should do a short episode tomorrow after the election, like either a concession or a celebratory, like, hey guys.
I'll be drunk after the election, but I can still write something.
Or maybe the next day we'll do whenever the next day we'll write a short, like, congratulatory, or like, all right everybody, tighten your helmet straps because the next 4 years are really gonna suck.
I will say, for anyone that's listened this far, that what you need to know about the election tomorrow, and this is something that people can hear this podcast in the next several days, and it'll still be useful to them. You're not going to know at midnight who the next president's going to be, because this will take us probably at least 2 weeks to, like, really count all the votes, because like 60% of all the votes this election happened, through mail-in ballots because of the coronavirus, right?
Yeah.
So most of the people voting will be on election day will be Trump voters because they're not afraid to go and vote in person, which is going to wipe out a whole lot of future Republican voters, but so it's going to look like Trump's way ahead at the end of tomorrow, and it's going to scare the shit out of you. But then as more and more mail-in ballots come in and get counted, you're going to see the blue shift as Joe Biden pulls ahead everywhere, and it's going to feel so much better.
All I know is I hope the next virus is smallpox.
And I think it was Wisconsin was the only state that will not be accepting mail-in ballots after election day, which is fucking bullshit. That means if you mailed it in several days before the election day, it ceases to count if the mail was slow.
Yeah, I'll tell you something about the mail. I ordered a package and the post office fucked it up, held it for 2 weeks. I just got it today.
Yeah, and guess who's responsible for that atrocity of that anti-democratic atrocity? That's right, Kavanaugh. That's the one thing he's done is block them from being able to accept votes after election day. But that's the only state he managed to pull that off in. And basically, Kavanaugh decided to lead the charge of all the Trump-appointed SCOTUSes to try and rig the election in Trump's favor. Realized he was the only one doing it and just sort of backed off after the first thing he did.
Which is interesting because, like, he needs to realize, dude, you're a Supreme Court justice. You don't have to do anything for this idiot anymore. Like, you can actually sit back and, like, he's still doing that thing where, like, he thinks that, like, you know, he owes, like, that's a great thing about the Supreme Court justices. People generally, after a while, it occurs to them, like, oh, I don't have to be political. Like, I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
So, anyway, fuck Kavanaugh, fuck Trump, fuck his whole family, fuck Mitch McConnell, fuck that little fucking pipsqueak from South Carolina, Lindsey fucking Graham. Fuck them all. I hope they're out of a job after tomorrow.
Me too. Oh, and again, it's going to be a while. It's going to be scary. Like, remember how terrified you felt on election night this time 4 years ago? Imagine feeling that for like 2 weeks to a month.
Oh, no, I don't even...
That's what we're facing
I don't
here.
even care about that. I'm just interested in the Senate, man. The Senate's what I'm going to be looking at.
That's also going to take that long to count.
Fucking goddamn it.
Yeah. All the votes are going to be coming in that gradually.
I wonder...
So,
oh, man, this is tough.
Tighten your belt strap. This is going to be a nightmarish 4 weeks.
This is tough because I can't take 4 weeks off of work to just stay drunk.
Me either. I gotta go and talk to these Trump supporters too. God.
Yeah. Well, good.
Like that's part of my job is I gotta go and interview these assholes. So it's like, God damn it. So it's really gonna be in my face. But tomorrow I have specific plans to be hammered because I have like some people that I can play games with online and just forget about being alive.
Yep. I'm definitely gonna imbibe. I think I'm just gonna play Witcher for several hours.
Yeah, I might start messaging you on Facebook whenever we get to near the end of the night, just because, I'm going to peek, right, and see how things are going. And if things are, like, horrific, then we can scream into the void together like we did 4 years ago.
Sounds great. Well, all right, that's our pre-election. Stay tuned later on in the next few days for our post-election celebration, like the Ewoks, or... you'll see more of The Empire Strikes Back, kind of like, oh, damn, we have to go hide now.
Nap, nap.